Welcome to the Wolverine Digest podcast, the best spot for objective and authentic coverage of Michigan athletics. If you want open dialogue, honest opinions, and in-depth coverage of the maize and blue, this is the podcast for you. And now, here's your host, Brandon Brown, joined as always by Chris Bryland.
I'm just going to start by saying go blue.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. Just want to start by saying go blue. Back on a Wednesday night. Feels pretty good. Still dealing with some technical difficulties over here on my end. Getting a little sick of it. But I think we're good, dude. I think we're good. I don't know what happened. I was just discussing it with you. Something about it changed when we went live from the RV and I didn't have my headset. When I had to change some, remember, we didn't have audio at all when that started because it was still trying to get sound from my headset. There was no headset. So then I switched it. Now that I've switched it back, I don't know. Chris,
how about Sean Bennett tuning in from a Mexican restaurant? Can we give Sean Bennett some love here from a Mexican restaurant? That's what it's all about,
tamales, brother.
There.
Get the tamales.
You know how fitting because it's going to be a spicy show.
All right. No, appreciate everybody who's jumping in here right now. And hopefully it does sound good. Like I said,
what up,
Chris
Jamie? Quick
sounds fine on his end, but for some reason it's messed up on my end. I don't know. Whatever. We'll get through it, and I think it'll be just fine. All right. Gonna fade out the music and jump right into a couple of topics. We're gonna talk about maybe like two things, just two random topics that popped up today. Not that one of them didn't pop up today. One of them's been around for a while, but I just keep hearing it, and it bothers me. And so we're going to get into that one. And then the other one did pop up today from our media availability with defensive line coach Mike Elston and running backs coach Mike Hart. We're going to get into that. And then from there on out, it's you guys. It's fan-led questions. So if you've got questions, hold off on them for now because they're going to get pushed up to the top of the list and we'll never see them. So don't start submitting questions until we're ready to take them because otherwise we won't see them and they'll get lost in the wash. All right, first topic, Chris. I mean, I think we'd be doing a disservice if we don't at least mention the quarterback battle a little bit, even though nothing new has really happened. We know JJ's getting the start Saturday against Hawaii. Looks like the weather's going to cooperate now, right? I know you were a little worried about that at first, but it looks good now. Here's what's bothering me. We've talked about this many times before. We don't dislike Cade McNamara. We simply think the offense could reach higher heights with J.J. McCarthy. It looked like it on Saturday. We even thought it for a large part of the season last year. That's all it is. That's really all it is. I think J.J. McCarthy is a better all-around athlete and football player. That's it. I don't dislike Cade. I don't want to. Oh, he won the Big Ten last year, but now he's not good enough. No. Where the hell did that come from? Who said that? It's that there's another player on the roster that I think is going to be better. That's really all it is. But the problem that I have with this battle and the way it's playing out is the way that I keep hearing people classify it like this. And tell me if this just bothers the hell out of you because it really does to me. I can't believe Jim Harbaugh would turn his back on Cade McNamara. Well, let me ask you something. Is he his dad dropping him off at the soup kitchen, at the foster child house, at the orphanage? Or is he a football coach trying to put the best damn player on the field? Where is this turn his back? Like, okay, Cade played well last year and J.J. McCarthy was a true freshman, wasn't quite ready. So just because Cade was like pretty decent last year, he has to play him even though there's a much better player waiting in the wing. Like, what the hell is that? Where did this narrative come from that Jim Harbaugh is turning his back on Cade McNamara and doing some terrible disservice to him by playing J.J. McCarthy now if he's ready? I don't understand where this came from.
It comes from fans who are overly emotional. And I guess and even from some analysts. I mean, I think I heard a guy from On3 talking about, if you're Jim Harbaugh, I don't see how you turn your back on Cade McNamara. And that's not what this is. It's not an emotional decision. You're right. Cade is not his son. I mean, Jim Harbaugh's job is to put the best players on the football field to make sure that Michigan has the best chance to win a football game. And if that's J.J. McCarthy and it's not Cade McNamara, it's not because of some sort of like emotional reaction or because people hate Cade McNamara because they want to, throw him out with the trash. It just so happens that there might be somebody behind him. It looks like there is, who's quite a bit better on Saturdays. And I really hate that, man. I hate the idea. It's been a growing narrative for a while now that, there seems to be this push against Cade. And I can't make it any more clear that I don't think anybody in the media market or in the fan base is against Cade McNamara. There just happens to be a substantial portion that believes JJ McCarthy can take the team to greater heights. This is big boy shit. We talked about this before. Cade McNamara said it himself that he's developed a callus for things like this. These guys are making NIL deals. They're playing big time Division I Power 5 football. Look at the cream of the crop will rise to the top. And I was at that press conference yesterday, listening to JJ McCarthy talk. And if you could, there was like electricity running on, you could just see the guy was amped up for Saturday. He's ready to go. I'm just ready for it, man. I'm ready to see it, but it has absolutely nothing to do with slandering Cade McNamara. And Mike Marchini, if I got that right from Facebook. Yeah, tired of the QB talk. I think a lot of people are. And the good news is after Saturday, we'll still be talking about quarterbacks, but it won't be in terms of a controversy.
I'm absolutely going to call him Mike Marchini. I'm positive that's not how it's pronounced, but it sounds way funnier, so that's what I'm going to go with. Chris, you were down on the field on Saturday. Did Cade McNamara get booed, like actively get booed? Because if if he's getting booed, that doesn't need to happen. I will put my foot down on that and say that doesn't need to happen. He wasn't very good, but he doesn't need to be booed. If there is actually a section of the fan base that says they really can't stand him or they dislike him or they're going to boo him because he throws an incomplete pass, like that doesn't need to happen. That's too far. But I don't think there's anything wrong with saying I'd rather have JJ because I think he's a better football player. Period. That's it. It's that simple. That's not mean. Yeah. That's not vindictive. That's not turning your back on Cade. That's calling a spade a spade. I think he's better. We're going with him. I don't know why that's so difficult for some people to compute. It just seems weird to me.
I mean, there might have been a few boo birds out. I was on all ends of the field. I was walking around. I could obviously hear some of the things that were being said in the crowd, and I can tell you that it wasn't. I think there's just an overall frustration because there seems to be. Well, I went back and rewatched the game today, and I'll just say, based on rewatching the game, the offense, even though they put up yards and moved the ball, with Cade McNamara behind center, the offense looks like it's running in mud. Like you can see the talent's there, but it struggles to get up and running. As soon as JJ McCarthy came in, everything just flowed forward. The ball was moving forward. It was like poetry in motion. Now, granted, it's against Colorado State. It's in the second half. We'll see what it looks like, in Big Ten play. But hey,
okay,
Cade McNamara was Cade McNamara.
You're going to say we'll see what it looks like this week.
No. Like, wow. We'll see. No, we'll see what it looks like in Big Ten play. But Cade McNamara was playing against the same opposition that JJ McCarthy was, and it couldn't have been more clear to me that the offense just ran more efficiently with JJ behind center. I mean, the numbers back that up.
Yeah, and I think I read it on Monday's podcast, but the idea was to let Cade kind of open it up a little bit, and he couldn't do it. You saw the first 2, 3, 4 throws. One hit Cornelius Johnson in the knees. The other one was wide and outside. The other one was off his back shoulder. He couldn't catch. He had 3 or 4 pretty blatant misses. The almost interception was kind of a combination of the tight end tripping and stumbling, and then whatever. That wasn't completely.
Listen, again, because it's fresh in my mind. There were 3 passes to Cornelius Johnson, consecutive passes to Cornelius Johnson. One that Cade threw at his feet. Cornelius could have caught it, but it was at his feet. One was on an out route where I think he threw it too far outside, and another was on a crossing route where he threw it behind Cornelius. And after that one, you could see the frustration on Cornelius Johnson where he sort of threw up his hands. I don't know, it wasn't a gesture towards Cade, so I don't want to put it out there, but it was just a general frustration. Like, damn it, I was open. Like, the ball's got to be put in a better spot. And so going back to what this whole week 1 thing was, this was his audition. This was his opportunity to go out and slam the door on the entire quarterback controversy against a team that, quite frankly, Cade McNamara should be able to do that. If he's playing at the level that, he should be playing at, a team like Colorado State shouldn't really pose much of an issue. And it just looked like the offense was struggling a little bit to get up and running. It didn't look like that when JJ came in the game. Like I said, everything just moved forward. Everything was constant forward motion.
Here was the text. I think I read it on Monday, but if I didn't, that's good to hear. And if I did, well, we're talking about it again. The game plan was designed on Saturday for Cade to get into a rhythm early, short throws, easy throws, right? Little out route. Cornelius sits down in his zone, little 10-yard out, winged it out of bounds, little crossing pattern, threw it off his back. Those are easy throws. Those were not difficult throws for a quarterback to make, and he missed all three. The plan was to get Cade into a rhythm early and for Michigan to take some shots downfield after that. It was not a manage the game expectation, but a chance to really go out there and show that he can be a playmaker, and Cade fell flat. That's what I was told. Believe it if you want. I believe it. I know where it came from. I know who said it, and I believe it 100%. And if, again, we talked about it all week leading up to it. Jim Harbaugh publicly said Cade's going to start game 1, JJ's going to start game 2. They both get a chance to go out there and show what they're made of and show what they can do, and Cade fell flat. And then, when you factor in that he is a zero threat running the ball, it just comes back to JJ's just a better player. And that's it. That's all it's got to be. You don't need to get your panties in a bunch. You don't need to get all twisted up. It just comes down to playing ball, man. That's really all it is for me. So this storyline of like Harbaugh is doing some huge disservice and just being so, nasty to Cade McNamara is just lost on me. It's like, tell me you've never played sports without saying you've never played sports. Like the better people play. That's it.
And I think we've shown, as much as anybody, our willingness to be, critical of either Michigan or Jim Harbaugh when we feel that it's warranted. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that they're questioning why this is happening. They think it's a stupid move. I think it's a great move by Jim Harbaugh. I think it's a phenomenal move. I think he had two quarterbacks that were making a solid case during fall camp, didn't have an answer by the end of it, and said, you know what? We know we're going to win these first two games. Let's see what these guys do in live action. And what else would you want from a head coach? To me, it shows, look, it says more than anything else, it says that Jim Harbaugh is not content with the way things went last year. We all think last year was a success, beating Ohio State, winning a Big Ten championship, getting to the college football playoff. But Jim Harbaugh is not content with repeating that. And he could roll with Cade and very easily be 11-0 heading into Columbus and with a chance to repeat the same exact playbook as what happened last year. But I think he thinks that there's more in the tank with J.J. McCarthy. A lot of people think that. And that's why you're seeing this first two weeks play out the way they are. And, man, is Saturday night going to be fun? Is there going to be some intrigue in the stadium? Is there going to be some electricity in the big house on Saturday night, you think?
Yeah, it's going to be sweet. And the last thing, and then we'll close the book on this one a little bit and move on to something else. I was talking to you about this on the phone. In 2017, Kelly Bryant and the Trevor Lawrence situation was a lot like this. Kelly Bryant, 2017, led Clemson to a 12-2 record. They won the ACC, and they lost in the first round of the playoffs to the eventual national champion. The following season, 2018, Kelly Bryant was the starter for 4 games, and then Dabo Swinney sat him down and started the true freshman superstar phenom, Trevor Lawrence, and they went on to win the college football playoff that year. Now, I'm not saying J.J. McCarthy is the lead, he's going to lead them to a title this year, but 12-2, conference champ, losing the first round to the college football champion, eventual. That's exactly what Michigan just did. 12-2, won the Big Ten, lost to Georgia in the first round. The next year they come back, Cade gets a start, JJ goes from then on out, and then it's his deal. It's exactly what they did with Trevor Lawrence, the same exact thing. Now, JJ's not quite the recruit that Trevor Lawrence was. I mean, some were calling him the best football, recruit since John Elway. I mean, that's, number 1 overall pick in the draft. Looks like he's going to play in the NFL for a really long time. I understand, slightly different. It was only 4 games into his freshman season. Now we're talking about JJ's second game of his sophomore season, but the similarities are they're right there. And I don't remember. I mean, granted, we're not in the Clemson market. I don't know. I don't remember Dabo Swinney just getting shit on all over the place for this, for doing something just like that. Kelly Bryant ended up transferring halfway through the year. After that 4th week, he left school. And little known fact, did you know this, Chris? Tell me what would be talked about if Jim Harbaugh did this little number. Kelly Bryant left after the 4th game because he lost his starting job, transferred to Missouri. Clemson went on to win a national title that year. Dabo Swinney chose not to give him a ring. Made the mindful decision to not give Kelly Bryant the ring because he transferred it from a school. I don't hate the decision. He left his team. I get it. But can you imagine if Cade transfers and Michigan wins a title and Jim Harbaugh doesn't give him a ring? Oh my God, he'd be Satan himself on the sideline.
As we're talking through this, it just occurred to me, there's the narrative out there, like, that Harbaugh's turning his back on Cade. Can it also not be true that Harbaugh is doing everything he can to give Cade McNamara a legitimate opportunity to keep his job? Yeah. I mean, we know what JJ McCarthy. That's what I'm saying. Like, there is also the possibility, people want to paint Jim Harbaugh as this guy turning his back on Cade. There is also the possibility that Jim Harbaugh is doing everything he can to give Cade McNamara the opportunity to hold on to this job. And Cade, when he was given the opportunity last weekend, didn't take full advantage of it. And so I just, I don't like the narrative. You don't like the narrative. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what the situation is. It's not about turning your back on anybody. It's about playing the best guy. And I think last week we got a taste of what that is. And I think this weekend we're going to get a bigger sample size of it. And then from there, we don't have to talk about this shit anymore. It's just now we're talking about what the offense looks like with a guy like JJ McCarthy behind center.
So there you go. Boom. Close the door. We'll shut it up for now. Like we said, we'll be back on Friday with a bigger focus on the game itself, the predictions, the other stuff that we talk about. And that'll pretty much be it. We know JJ's starting. We'll all watch it Saturday. We'll certainly have something to talk about in post-game. There's no doubt about that. And I can't wait for that moment. But before then, we got to finish this show up. We got another one on Friday, a pregame show on Saturday. We got a lot to talk about. But I'm sure the Cade and JJ stuff will come back up again, but we'll put a bow in that for now. All right. The second topic before we get into fan-led questions, I found this interesting today, Chris, and for several different reasons. Mike Hart spoke to the media today. He kind of grabbed the headlines by saying, quote, "I don't recruit stars, I recruit good players." And he meant stars as in like 4- and 5-star guys. And he didn't mean like he won't recruit them. He just doesn't hang everything he does on going after the biggest fish in the pond and only the 4- and 5-star guys. And immediately, as a former recruiting guy, and you could kind of feel the vibe in the room, and everyone was like, "Ooh, I don't know if he should have said it like that." But then he spoke and he spoke and he spoke about the reasons why he said it and the things that he does look for and all the stuff that kind of fed into his philosophy on the recruiting trail. And it's pretty hard to argue. Now, the crowd that says stars don't matter, they're wrong, flat out. I mean, like, there's a reason Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson are in the playoff like every year. I mean, it's clear. You go out and get the 4- and 5-star guys, they're better than everyone else. You win games. I mean, it's not rocket science. Not all of them pan out. It's not completely black and white, but you got to get talent. But with Mike Hart, he started out at Eastern Michigan. He was at Western Michigan. He was at Syracuse. He was at Indiana. And he said, my previous stops, I couldn't recruit 5-star guys. I couldn't do it. So he learned a formula, and he figured out ways to get effective, talented backs in his program, develop them, teach them, coach them up, and get a lot of production out of it. I know for a fact he did really well with his backs at Western Michigan and Indiana. I don't remember specific examples from Eastern and Syracuse, but at Western and at Indiana, he had some studs, dudes that made it to the league. Like, he did a really good job there, and now he's Michigan's running back coach. He got hired about a month after Donovan Edwards, so he wasn't involved in that recruitment. So far, all he's brought to campus is C.J. Stokes, who actually looked pretty damn good on Saturday, 6 carries for 35 yards. And now he's got commitments in place from Cole Cabana, the local kid from Dexter, and Benjamin Hall, a lightly recruited guy from Georgia with not a very big offer list, 3-star kid. Cole Cabana is a 4-star in some places, and C.J. Stokes was also a 3-star. So I say all of that. I'm going to play the clip real quick. It's only about a minute long of what Mike Hart said, how he said it, some of the other explanations that he had, and then I want to get Chris's take as a non-recruiting guy, a guy who didn't pay near as close to attention as recruiting that I did for a job for 6 or 7 years, and just kind of see, where we both fall on this thing.
You guys know this, recruiting guys, that I don't recruit stars, if that makes sense. I recruit good players, or try to recruit good players, and he's a kid that was under-recruited, who had great film, was fast, had track times, ran the ball hard, ran through people, could show that he can catch the ball. And then at the end of the day, it's just who he is as a person. And you talk about a kid who has a strong mind, who's confident in himself, who's not afraid of competition, a kid that you know is going to have success in the long run and wants to be great. Like, you have to have kids that want to be great. Some kids like the recruiting. He wasn't a kid that you had to call every day. You know, he's a kid that knew who he was, you know, and just that self-motivation. And those are the kids, you know, the Blake Corums, the Donovan Edwards, those are kids that show up, that work every day, you don't have to worry about. We're going to go to class, we're going to take care of those things. And those things are more important to me as a coach than kids who are ranked 5 stars because they go to a big school and, you know, they may not be that good. So that's kind of just my recruiting philosophy personally.
All right. So again, you think about Mike Hart's own personal experience and background of how he was as a player, where he came from, his previous jobs, and now he's at Michigan where he could recruit anybody he wanted, but it almost sounds like he's choosing to not even go that route. I don't know, man. I find myself really kind of being able to understand both sides here. Like, no, dude, you can't say that. You got to go after the best of the best of the best. I don't care how many times you got to call them. That's your job, coach. Call them every hour if you need to get the best player in the country. On the flip side, I know what he's done. I know where he comes from. I know what works for him. I don't know, man. When you hear me say all of that stuff and then you watch Mike Hart speak, where do you fall on this? Because there are some analysts out there who cover recruiting that think Mike Hart has done a poor job recruiting that position.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's just that I'm in a good mood. Maybe it's the Wolverine State Brewing Company that doesn't have. I didn't take a single issue with what he said. In fact, okay. I liked it. Like, you know what? There is something to be said about recruiting guys who just have that internal motivation. And of course you want 5 stars and 4 stars, and you know what that equates to on the football field. But we also, Michigan fans, suffered through at least a solid decade of getting our asses kicked around by 3-star recruits down in East Lansing who were just hungrier than the guys on the other side of the ball. And so if Mike Hart is out there looking for, and you can do the drop, dogs, that's what I want. I want guys that maybe aren't, the 5-star prima donna. They're not getting recruited by everybody in the country. They don't have that massive ego. Just an under-recruited guy who's hungry and wants to, make his presence known and would kill for an opportunity to do that at the University of Michigan. That's kind of how I took that. So no, I don't have a problem with it. Now, that being said, if guys like CJ Stokes and Cole Cabana and whoever else comes through, if they don't start to pan out, then yeah, I'm going to have questions about Mike Hart's philosophy. But at this point, I'll trust what he says and I'll trust his philosophy. And, I like the mindset. I like the idea behind it.
That's where I'm at too. I mean, I trust what he says. I believe everything he's saying. It's worked for him. It's worked for other guys that he's recruited. None of his, CJ Stokes is the only back at Michigan that he's recruited, and he's carried the ball 6 times. He's a true freshman. I mean, I don't know if you can really, you can't even really say what he's done yet. Blake Corum was not his recruit. Donovan Edwards wasn't his recruit, but he's got a track record of bringing in good guys and making them better at just about every school he's been at. So I'm totally willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. But at the same time, I find myself immediately saying, like, well, dude, there's 5 stars who are also hungry and dogs and want to play hard. Like, that it's not like, only 2-star and 3-star guys can be hungry and really want it. No, that's not even remotely true. Some of the best players in the country are some of the hardest workers in the country. That's why they get to that point. So, like, I don't know, man. I just found the comment interesting. I know there were a lot of people who ran with that and tried to make it into a narrative. That's not what I'm doing. I don't want to make it seem like there is an issue or a problem. I don't think there is. I just found it interesting as a former recruiting guy to hear that kind of discussion and to hear some of the words that he said. But like I said, he was a lightly recruited guy out of upstate New York, and all he did was become the best running back ever at Michigan based on the numbers. I mean, like, yeah. He's got some things he can hang his hat on in that arena. And
Derek Green, Kareem Walker. I mean,
sure.
There's
examples in every direction. I mean, you can play that game all day. Michigan's been playing football a long time. Guys who were under recruited that did really well, big timers that didn't, and vice versa. Some big timers are the best player. Reggie Bush, #1 player in the country. He's pretty good. I mean, like, you can do that all day. You can go find examples that fit little narratives all the time. And so I just found it interesting because I'm not covering recruiting anymore, but the people who are, they've taken some shots at Mike Hart about him not getting after it on the recruiting trail and not going after the talented players that should be coming to a place like Michigan. So I just found it interesting. Thought it was worth bringing up. It was kind of the headline that stole the day. I know as soon as we got out of that press conference, I saw his quote popping up all over the place, and I wrote a story about that, kind of doing what I'm doing right now, looking at both sides of the coin and understanding that I think there's some truth and some, maybe some bias in both directions. And I think that's fine.
Yeah.
I think it's worth talking about. So anyway, wanted to bring that up from the presser earlier and just see what you thought about it as a person who didn't cover recruiting for so long and see if it was any different. Quick word from our sponsor, the homie Rich homie. Can we call him Rich?
We can call him whatever.
Rich Media Escapes real quick, and then we'll get back into fan-led questions. Get them loaded up,
sir.
Everybody.
Hey, this is Rich from Mediascapes located in Burton. Let me fill you in a little bit about our business. We are a full-service sign and graphic company from banners, yard signs to vehicle wraps. When it comes to marketing your business, we also provide video and photography services as well as apparel and promotional items. If it's something that will make your business or organization stand out, we do it. And I guarantee we do it well. We are Mediascapes on Dorrit Highway, south of Bristol Road, just before Rock Bottom. Check out our work at Mediascapes.com. That's Mediascapes with a K.com.
There you have it. I'll throw that up again until you guys have it ingrained in your brain. Mediascapes with a K. There's the phone number, 810-410-4737 in Burton, Michigan. We've said it a million times, and we're going to keep saying it. Rich is the man. They do incredible work over there. And, if you need anything, I mean, he rattled off several things there: vehicle wraps, signage, T-shirts, video, audio production. I mean, he does it all. It's really pretty incredible how many different things that they're able to do there. So go check them out if you have any type of need with your company, your brand, your event, your whatever it is that you're doing. Rich can hook it up. So there you go. All right, Chris, are you ready for some questions?
Let's do it, man. Let's get to the people. Let's get to the people. Who gives a shit what we have to say? Let's get to the people.
Well, I mean, it is going to be us answering the questions.
Well, that's true. That is true. I guess so. I guess you should care a little bit about it.
We should care a little bit about it.
Do we have music for Fan-Led Wednesdays?
I think we just
anything?
did like a
background. We need something in the background, man. It's like a couple of dead bodies out here answering questions.
I think we just had a little draft music going.
There we go. I like it.
Feel good about it?
Let's get into it.
Oh, this is a great question, Cody Engel. What is your dream non-conference match? We'll just go matchup. I'm not going to do a whole schedule. That's a great question, man. A team that you would absolutely love to see Michigan play, I guess either in the big house at the other team's place, or maybe even like a cool neutral site. I personally love home field for one or the other teams. Yeah. Neutral sites. It's cool to see those venues. Like when we got to go down for the bowl game, I mean, that was incredible. But there's something about, being at the places, at a place with a home field advantage. So I don't know. Do you have an easy go-to, Chris?
So my initial thought went to, and I know that they stumbled out of the game, but my initial thought went to LSU. I think as a fan, I like the opportunity to go down there in Baton Rouge and watch the Wolverines play. I've always kind of viewed Michigan and LSU as kind of in a similar boat in a way, but I see a lot of people out there saying Texas, and I think that's another good one, to watch the Wolverines go play in Texas or watch the Longhorns come up to the big house. I think that would be awesome, but I think I would go with LSU.
I like it. Brian Kelly and his family.
Well, I mean, anytime you get a chance to kick Brian Kelly's ass, you got to take that, right?
You know where my mind immediately went, and it's because I have a personal connection. I lived there for 7 years. It's Clemson.
Okay.
I would love to watch Michigan play Clemson because, first of all, they're good. I mean, they've been really good for the last decade or so, but they're really passionate. I mean, it's like every fan base, but they thought Clemson was the best football team walking when they weren't even good. Like when they were still losing to South Carolina somewhat regularly and not competing in the ACC, they still thought they had the best team, had won a title since 1981, all that stuff. They still thought that orange and purple, God, it's ugly too. So much orange and purple. They thought it was the best thing ever. And I always wanted Michigan to play them so they could kick their ass. Michigan did knock them out of the NCAA tournament one year, which was pretty awesome in basketball. And I got to brag about that. But anyway, the stadium is incredible. It's the other Death Valley, right? LSU Death Valley, Clemson.
Another Death Valley.
They've got the incredible, running down the hill if it was an away game for Michigan, or if you had, dude, can you imagine the upstate South Carolinians, the humid, hot, muggy boys from the South coming up to Michigan in like October?
I was going to say, could you imagine folks from Louisiana trying to survive in the Wolverine state? It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Really cool question right there, Cody. I like that. I would go with Clemson.
Yeah.
I wonder, have they ever played? We need to look that up. Has Michigan ever played LSU or Clemson? I'm sure somebody out there would know better than me. But yeah, that's pretty. That would be both of those would be great matchups. So we'll do this one quick because it's an easy one. How far is your tailgate spot from Pioneer? Not far. We're down Main Street. So if you're coming from Pioneer, you'll come down Main Street and hang a left on Berkeley, and we're 10 or 15 houses up the road right there.
Depending on where you're coming from, Pioneer, or you could just
Pioneer's big. Yeah, there's a lot of acreage over there at Pioneer, so it depends on where you're starting from. But yeah, just down Main Street, 50-yard line extended right out of the big house. That's where we're at. So that gives you an idea of where it's at. All right. I like this question too, Chris. First offensive play on Saturday with J.J. McCarthy at the helm.
Of course, it's going to be a read option, and JJ's probably going to take it. He's going to take it like 15 or 16 yards. The crowd's going to ooh and ah, and then after that, it's just going to be sit back and watch the kid operate.
Yeah, that's kind of like their bread and butter play anyway. Yeah. Whether it's a true read or a give made to look like a read or whatever, that's Michigan's main running play. I think you're safe to bet that would be the first play of the game. But if it's up to JJ, he's pulling that sucker and he's going, man. We heard Kalel Mullins talk about it. We heard Jalen Harrell talk about it. By the way, Mike Elston called him Jalen Harrell today. Harrell.
He did.
Now, I've heard it. I've heard it pronounced both ways from people who should be in the know. So now I'm confused.
All right, because I was going Harrell, right? I was saying Jalen Harrell. Harrell.
You say Harrell.
Yes,
and I say Harrell, and I don't know who's right.
I think you're right. I think it's Harrell. I think it's Jalen Harrell.
Okay. Either way, Mike Elston called him Harrell today, but anyway, both of those defensive players have talked about how JJ will pull it a lot more, put his foot in the ground, and he is gone, dude. Out the back gate.
Mean, when you got 4.4 speed, why wouldn't you?
Amen, brother. Fastest quarterback in the NFL if he was playing right now. I'm kidding, but I don't think he's faster than Lamar. I don't think he's faster than Kyler Murray.
He's top 5, right?
He's top 5 with 4.5 speed. We learned that. There's only 3 quarterbacks in the NFL that run that fast that start. So anyway, all right. Yeah, it's a little ways down the road, Jimmy. You're right. Iowa's 4 weeks away, but that is the first test for Michigan. There's no doubt about it. It's on the road. It's at Kinnick. It's a team with a pulse. No. I was going to say no offense to Maryland, but I don't care. Offense to Maryland, whatever. They blow. I didn't watch it. I know the score was ridiculous. They were Chris's TFGs earlier this week because they needed 2 safeties in the second half to win the game 7-3. I doubt South Dakota State is for real, air quotes, but it still is a big game because they're going to give Michigan their best shot. They remember they got their ass kicked by them in the Big Ten championship game, but I said it before the season even started. I think Michigan's going to smoke them. I just don't think Iowa's that good. I don't think they have that much talent. Not as much speed, not as much talent.
You're right about the talent. You're right about the speed. But Jimmy, listen, Michigan is now South Dakota State. And when the Wolverines go to Kinnick, Iowa's just going to play a different brand of football. And that's what Iowa does. There's always a couple games where Iowa gets up. And I know I don't know. It's not a night game, but they are doing the stripe out game, right? So there's going to be some extra incentive inside the stadium. I fully expect to get Iowa's best effort probably of the season. I think they're going to make it difficult for Michigan. I do think Michigan wins that game, Jimmy, but man, I don't think that game against South Dakota State is any indication of the type of effort that Michigan's going to get when they go there week 5.
That's probably the fairest way to put it. I don't think, you're not going to see them look like that, but I just think Michigan's too good, too talented, too fast. I mean, we saw it in the Big Ten championship. I mean, it was apparent, very apparent. 42-3 is pretty apparent. This is week 5 of this season versus the very end of the year last year. A lot of different bodies out. I get it, but I still think Michigan is just
James Harry saying Michigan by 50 in Kinnick.
I don't know about that, but I think Michigan will handle them. So the weather, Zach Sanday, the fake last name. The weather is looking better on Saturday. Who is JJ's favorite target going to be on against Hawaii? I know where I'm going with this one.
I mean, the flying Hawaiian, Roman Wilson, he already had a big week one. You can see that, once he gets the ball in space, he can make some things happen. And I think that there's going to be a concerted effort to get Roman Wilson the ball on Saturday. I think he's going to have a really big game. And if I'm JJ, I'm looking for number 14 all night.
That is interesting because that's not where my mind went, but I forgot about the connection. You put up a story about it earlier today over at WolverineDigest.com. So check it out. Making history. How's he making history, Chris? Flying Hawaiian?
Well, he's going to be the first player from the state of Hawaii, Michigan player, to play against the Rainbow Warriors. And so I think that's cool, man. I mean, anytime you can be the first to do anything, and I know that it's special for Roman Wilson. He kind of, during his press conference this week, talked about what the team in Hawaii meant to him just kind of growing up. And, you see some like Colt Brennan come through there and some of the big players. And so even though, make no mistake, Roman Wilson is going to want to put the Rainbow Warriors in a body bag on Saturday. Yeah. I just think it's cool for him, man, to have that kind of matchup in Ann Arbor in the big house under the lights. What a cool experience.
Haven't looked into it, but I'd be shocked if there weren't several of his former teammates or guys he knew well on that team. And so, you're right. He's going to want to show out. I immediately was going to go to Andrell. I know that J.J. McCarthy and Andrell Anthony have a chemistry. We saw it against Michigan State last year. They came in together. They're both sophomores. They're both looking to take another step. That's where my mind went, but I really like your thought process on picking Roman. And, I mean, it's not like Michigan doesn't have 10 freaking weapons there that could all be the leading receiver in this game. So maybe it's neither of those guys. It could easily be Ronnie Bell. Might be Eric Gall. Who knows? But I will go with Uno. I will go with Andrell Anthony, and I think your Roman Wilson pick is spot on. He's probably going to have a big day against the other Islanders out there, right? This is a fun question, too. I like this, Evan. Thank you. What programs in the country would Cade and or JJ not start at? Besides Alabama with Bryce Young, Ohio State with C.J. Stroud, Georgia with Stetson Bennett. I mean, like, Bennett's an interesting one because he's not the big time recruit, the 5-star, the freak show. He's 5'10", he's $180, probably throws the ball 50 yards maybe. And last week he put up like 368 yards or something, and I don't know, 4 touchdowns or whatever. Like, and obviously he won a title last year, largely in part because of Georgia's superior talent. But that's an interesting question. I mean, well, Chris, we've talked about this a little bit with the Big Ten, at least, where we thought Cade McNamara might be able to start, just as a little back and forth kind of discussion. I don't know if we need to go team by team, but, when you see this question, what are some of the immediate thoughts that you have? First of all, I know you can't stand C.J. Stroud, so I saw you kind of tense up just reading that.
Yeah, well, I mean, Cade isn't C.J. Stroud, but there's obviously. Look, I don't think they're the same. Cade, you could go through the Big Ten, and I think once you get, like, would Cade McNamara start in place of Peyton Thorne at Michigan State? I don't know. To me, that's I don't think so. It's a push at best. But if you insert J.J. McCarthy into the mix and you have that mobility and that athleticism, now it changes the equation. And so that's a tough question to answer, because I think that there's a lot, quite frankly, a lot of programs across the country that Cade probably wouldn't start at, not necessarily because he's not good enough, but maybe the offense is just designed a little bit differently. Sure. They don't do what's within, Cade's bag of tricks. I will say this, given JJ's skill set, the likelihood of him being able to start pretty much anywhere in the country is significantly higher than Cade's, simply because he is a true dual threat.
That's fair. Any team that employs a running game with the quarterback, Cade's out. I mean, he's just, not every quarterback runs. That's fine.
Dude, I can't, as much as I want to have blazing speed, I just don't have it. It doesn't make you a dick for saying I don't have it. I just don't have it. It's not in there.
Yeah.
Now, blazing good looks, different story.
I'm going to try not to be a dick with this one. Does Andrell Anthony get over or under 2 TDs Saturday? Well, can he get more than 1 catch in a game first before we start? I mean, like I said, I don't want to be a dick. He had 1 catch for 5 yards.
It's not his fault. It's not his fault.
It's not his fault. But I would say definitely under. He's capable of getting, scoring twice. It's not a knock on Andrell. I need to see it from the offense, the play calling, the throwing the ball down the field, putting one pass over the goal line into the end zone. Can we try that once before? That's that's just where I'm at. I mean, we talked about it on Monday. The leading receiver in the game had 2 catches. It was Ronnie Bell, it was Colston Loveland, and I think maybe Cornelius Johnson. I think 3 guys had 2 catches. Everybody, all 12 of the other guys had 1 grab, including Andrell for 5 yards. So I just need to see more through the air, period, from anybody. I don't care if it's Cade. I don't care if it's JJ. They got to call some plays and call some shots downfield before we can worry about that.
To answer the question, I'm going to say under. I will hammer the under on 2 touchdowns on Saturday. But I will say, let's see how different the offense looks with number 9 behind center.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, if the plan really was to let Cade get in a rhythm and then air it out and throw it down the field, and they're going to do the same thing with JJ, he's going to have a chance to really light it up. He's going to have a chance to light it up against a bad team. I mean, Hawaii, they got beat by 50 by Vanderbilt, dude. I mean, they're not good. They are not good. Michigan's going to be able to do whatever they want to do, and so it's going to be about executing, making the right throws, making the right plays, not trying to get overextended. I mean, that's what it's going to be about for JJ.
I don't want to generalize, but I think from YouTube, Dependent Fanatic makes a good point there, and that is where, you have to have a quarterback with mobility. And I know Cade's got a little bit of mobility, but that's just where the game has evolved to. Offenses are so dynamic now. You even heard Nick Saban say not too long ago that I can't win with defense anymore. I got to put up points. I need guys that can score points. And so, if you can have a guy behind center who's multidimensional versus one-dimensional, you're going to be a lot better off. And that's just reality. It's not about it's not about emotion. It's just true dual threat versus a true pocket passer. Give me the dual threat every day of the week, particularly on Saturdays.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. This is a good question, and it's one I've thought about, and it's a scene I've played out in my head, Chris. How many TDs does J.J. McCarthy throw on Saturday?
I think he gets 3 touchdown passes, and I think he gets 1 rushing touchdown for a total of 4, 3 through the air, 1 on the ground.
I think he's going to have a big day. I think it's all going to happen in the first half. I think he's going to throw for 3 or 4 and run for 1. I'm with you. I'll go 4 through the air.
We got Johnny Rendon saying 6 tutties on Saturday.
It's a lot. I mean, I just think it's a combination of JJ being really talented. I'm high on him, and Hawaii being really, really bad. I mean, it's just they don't stand a chance. Dude, the spread is 51 points. It's unbelievable. That's an insane number.
As it should be 11.
I mean, it should be. Yes, but that's a crazy number. This is an interesting question because JJ was asked about this, and he answered it like a pro, like he always does. The kid is money on the microphone, dude. He's so good, so mature, so poised, so kind. I mean, dude, he dapped us both up like we've been his best friend for 20 years. I'm like, dude, you don't really have to do that.
He was walking up to the press conference, gave us both a hug, and then when he left, he thanked everybody for their time and said that he hopes we have a good day. I mean, that's just natural. That's not forced.
He comes up, bro hug for me, bro hug for you, another one on the way out, a full body embrace hug with Angelique like she's his grandmother. It's just it's the way he is, dude. He's wired that way.
It goes in line with what Brad Robbins had to say, and I don't know if we put that out, but Brad Robbins was asked specifically what sets JJ apart, what makes him special, and he said he's empathetic. It doesn't matter if, and think about that when you ask your punter, like, what makes this guy special? And he took some time to think about it, and he went with empathy, and he pointed out how JJ, whether you're the veteran on the team, the walk-on, whether you're a staff member, that JJ just finds a way to connect with people that resonates and that means something within the locker room. And I just thought that was interesting to hear a veteran punter use that word to describe what makes a kid like that special. Empathy.
Yeah, no question. So didn't even get to the question yet. We were kind of building up to it. So what do we think the relationship is like between Cade and JJ? And then he says they've never communicated on the sidelines. Well, I know I put up this photo for our. They do communicate on the sidelines. I don't know if it's a lot. It's certainly got to be a dynamic right now. They're battling each other for the job that they both want. There's probably a little bit of contention, but I do think. Well, I know I've dealt with JJ enough now personally, both back, dating back to when he was a 10th grader in high school all the way up through. We had the long sit down with him to the examples we just named from the press conference a day ago. He's like the nicest kid I've ever met, almost like to a fault. It's like he's so nice that you're like, this can't be real. He's got to be bullshitting everybody, but he's not. Yeah. It's just how he is. And while Cade might not be quite as warm, he was voted a team captain. Clearly, he earned the respect of his teammates and people like him too. So I think even if they're battling it out and they know, like, I'm better than that guy, man, I want that job. Like, I think they're going to get along fine. I think they're going to get along fine. And, you know, if JJ was pouring it on a little thick in his answer by saying, like, what a better position for me to be in, to learn from a guy like that. He's so driven. He's so this, he's so that. Well, I don't think it's fake, but they each want the same job, but I think they also do understand that it's about the team. Neither of them are me guys, clearly. Cade McNamara threw 15 touchdowns last year. He's not a me guy. JJ was superstar, golden boy, everything, and he's barely playing. He's still at Michigan. He's not a me guy. So I think they can coexist in a way that will work, but they're fighting it out. Man.
I was going to say, I think it is a business relationship. You know, they're both guys that are vying for the same spot, and you cannot tell me after that post-game press conference with Cade McNamara that he's not frustrated with the situation. He is clearly frustrated with the situation. He's clearly unhappy with it. I think he's dealing with it the best he can. But in terms of how that impacts Cade and JJ, I don't think there's really an issue with their relationship. They're just two guys that are competing for the same position. I think that I do think that, well, we'll save it. Let's see how Saturday looks, and then we'll discuss what the future might look like in the quarterback room.
Cody Ingle just keeps bringing the questions, man.
Cody's always in the cut, man. He's always here.
Always brings the question. I love this one. How many touchdowns would the Sledgehammer have if he played quarterback this weekend? I'm giving him one. I'm giving him at least one.
At least one? At least one? I mean, yeah, well, sure. Why not? It's Colorado State. Screw it. Yeah, give him a touchdown. Why not?
He's an athlete. Put 13 under center. Watch what happens, man. Well, it's going to make magic.
I'm just
tell you what.
Sure about it.
I'll tell you what. I'm not so sure it would be magical, but that dude would be prepared. He'd be ready.
We
heard all about that.
Yeah.
We heard all about that from him and from Brad Robbins, that just Jake Moody's level of consistency and preparation and even keel and all that makes him why he's so good at kicking the ball. Like, I mean, we're being facetious here, but like, if they said, Jake, you're starting at quarterback this weekend, like I fully expect him to take that as serious as humanly possible and try to make something happen.
Sure.
I mean, they're not going to do it, but you get it. Chris, this is an important question. It's very important. How's that shiny sunburn head, bruh?
Fortunately, the sunburn did turn into a tan, but it is still the shape of the half moon on the forehead. And look, I'm just going to have to roll with it until wintertime. That's just, there's the good parts of every job, and then there's some not so good parts of every job. And the not so good parts of my job were I looked like a piece of bacon after the game. That's what I looked like, fried crispy bacon or a rack of ribs with a fresh glaze on me, if you will.
Out on the grill, just cooking, brother.
Or like one of those rotisserie chickens just going around.
Yes. That was the color of your head.
That was me. I was a rotating rotisserie with a backwards hat on. That was me.
That's hilarious.
No. I can't do the fitted hat. I can't do it.
57 watching, 9 likes. Get your guys, man. Bring the team, man. Get everybody. So that's on YouTube. The YouTube channel is slowly growing. It's appreciated. I do appreciate that. We're up around the 200 mark, which is pretty good for a live broadcast combined with YouTube, Facebook.
We're trying, Twitter. Kelvin. We're trying. Cool. We're doing what we can do. We're here.
Yeah.
The show is here. It's happening.
I'm good with it.
Go rally the troops.
Look, I can't even bring myself to come to this place because I just don't think it's humanly possible.
It is a great question, though. It is a great question.
Yeah, it is. It is a good question. If JJ is just god awful this weekend, then what? I don't think it matters anyway. I really don't.
I mean, if he isn't very good this weekend, it certainly does matter. Because then you're right back in the situation. It's like, do we go with the steady hand, the guy that we know we can get out of him, or do you? I just think at the end of the day, based on how week 1 went and based on what they're doing for week 2, I just don't see a scenario that you go back to Cade, even if JJ hasn't. Look, if JJ plays as good as Cade McNamara played last week, JJ wouldn't have had a very good game. And I still think he's going to be the starter. I don't see a scenario where JJ plays the way you saw Cade play week 1. I think he plays loose. I think he plays fast. I think you see that the offense is capable of doing more, because now if you're a defense, you've got to prepare for everything out there. You got to prepare for the weapons, the running backs, a quarterback who can run or who can hit you over the top. So I think after Saturday, the controversy is going to be over. But if JJ goes out there and bombs, make no mistake, this controversy will roll into week 3 and week 4. And then everybody's going to start looking at Iowa, that first road game, and saying, okay, now what are they going to do there? I hope that's not the case. My hunch is that JJ, Cade had an opportunity to do it. I think JJ is going to close the door on it.
I'm not sure the players at Hawaii even really know like what a football is. So I think,
Wow,
I think he's going to be all right. I think he's going to be all right. Dude, 63-10 to Vanderbilt at home. Come on, dude.
If he doesn't go out and light it up, I'll eat your shoe.
I got a whole bunch of them over there, dude.
I'll eat it easy.
Uncle Mike in the house. And I like this
Hi-yo.
question because this comes back to like what we think it's going to look like. Ultimately, it's like, what are the calls? Are they going to try to air it out? Are they going to try to get JJ into a rhythm and let him open it up? Cade McNamara threw for 136 yards in the game. 61 of them came on the screen pass to Roman Wilson. So, we talked about this. I'm not taking those away from him, but let's be honest. He threw it to Roman behind the line of scrimmage, and Roman ran 61 yards for the touchdown. 136 yards and a score in 44, 43 snaps, whatever it was. JJ came in 11 snaps, 4 for 4, 30 yards, 50 yards rushing touchdown. All right. What do we think the first half? Because I don't know if JJ will play. I mean, if it's 55-0 at halftime, like, I don't know if we're even going to see JJ in the second half. What do you think it looks like? Are they going to open it up? Is it going to be a rhythm thing? Are they going to tell JJ to push it down the field? Like, how does this end up looking for number 9 on Saturday? I mean, because I remember what you said about Cade, and they tried it, but it just didn't work.
Well, that's the difference. They tried it, and it wasn't working. I think they're going to try it on Saturday, and I think it's going to work. I think they're going to allow J.J. McCarthy to go play his game. And if they do that, yeah, what do his passing yards look like in the first half? Maybe he throws for 250 and a few touchdowns, gets a series or two in the second half before they pull him. But you're right, man. Like, this thing has the potential. Like, it just sets up so nicely for JJ if he could just have a solid game. I mean, the job's his. That's it. Yeah. It just has to be a solid performance against, quite frankly, we'll just call him inferior opponent.
They might be the worst team in the country. I mean, I'm dead serious.
They're bad.
Like,
they're bad.
You lose by 53 to Vanderbilt on your home field, like you're in that discussion of being the worst team in the country.
And Vandy has to fly all the way down to the island, man. Like, that's, you talk about a road game and having to travel. Like, that's a different type of travel. Yeah. You can't lose a game like that at home week 1.
CS from the YouTube channel. Thank you for subbing over there. Great question. And Mike Elston addressed it exactly today. Do we think Michigan will go with the defensive line committee like they did versus Colorado State, or will they solidify 4 or 5 guys? The defensive line rotation is always interesting because, I mean, these are big old dudes. You're talking 3 bills plus for some of them. They need to blow. They need to be able to go as hard as they absolutely can go for 4 or 5 plays and then get out and get another body in there. And that's exactly what Mike Elston talked about. He said, we've got a young guy in Mason Graham. We've got a young guy in Kenneth Grant. We've got Chris Jenkins, who we can move around. We've got Mike Morris, who we can move around. And then, of course, the edge guys are in a little bit of a different scenario, depending on down and distance and, things like that. But I found it really interesting how detailed Mike Elston explained his approach, where he's like, these are the guys we have that start. These are the guys that we have in this situation. These are the guys that we have in this situation. And then they have a whole nother wave of guys in all of those situations if a drive gets extended. So if it's not a 3 and out, if it goes to 4 plays, 6 plays, 8 plays, here's the next wave of guys and where they go and what schemes they run. And again, certainly down and distance is part of it. You've got your specialty packages. I mean, it was just really enlightening to hear Mike Elston talk about how they determine who's going to be in the game. And I don't think it matters who they play against. I think you've got to have probably 8 bodies that you feel really, really good about on the D-line that are always going to be rotating in and out, maybe a maximum of 4, 5, 6 plays at the most. Like, dude, Mozzie Smith is 340 pounds. He's not playing 12 plays in a row. You got to get him in, go as hard as you can go for 4 or 5, and then get out and get a blow, let one of those other dudes go in there. So it's a really good question, but I don't think it matters who they're playing. I think that's going to be – it sounded like that's going to be Mike Elston's approach all year.
Absolutely. And as it should be for that reason. Like you said, you got to get guys that can get a blow. And down on the field, I was watching the defensive line, and they were flying around like crazy. They were making things extremely difficult for Colorado State. And so I would expect, there to be a solid rotation of 8 or 9 guys that they can rotate up front.
Yeah.
You got too much talent there. Too much talent.
I just really liked hearing Mike. I mean, he's not the most exciting guy when he talks, but he's just, dude, he came out with his sheet. He spoke for 5 minutes before anybody asked him a question. He went through doom. Like immediately, I mean, the hair, the shave, dude, the dude is on it. He is freaking on it. And look, I really liked Sean Nua as a guy, as a dude. And I know the players loved him too. I think Mike Elston is dude, that dude's a perfectionist. He is going to have those dudes ready. He might not be out hanging out with them like Sean Nua was. There might not be that love. Like, I mean, I'm sure they get along fine, just personality wise. But dude, that dude knows his stuff. Some of the answers that he gave today were, for a football nerd, you really wanted to geek out. Like he was the guy, man. I really enjoyed hearing him talk today. Again, if I put up a 7-minute video of him talking, people would probably fall asleep halfway through it. But it was good shit, dude. It was really good stuff, and I enjoyed hearing him talk, man. It was really enlightening for me, and he talked about exactly that what CS brought up right there, that rotation. So really good stuff right there with Mike Elston today at the microphone. Just so you guys know, it's 7:59 on the real time. I'm looking at questions from 7:34. That's how fast I'm 25 minutes behind where we're at because so many people are putting comments in. So again, amazing participation from you guys. I apologize if I don't get to your question, but that kind of explains why, because there's just so many that it's hard for me to get them in. Let me see. I don't know if I want to put that up. Oh, let's pontificate. Uniforms for Saturday, Chris. Gotta be all blue, does it not? For the night game?
Probably. I mean, that's the most likely. I would say Mays out with the all blue uniforms is a safe bet. Although I will say I would love for them to finally roll out the blue bottoms with the Mays top alternate. Ooh. I think that's a fire alternate, especially if the fans in the crowd are going to go Mays. Throw the Mays up top, but I think that the all blue is probably a safe bet.
So they did the all blues for Washington last year under the lights, and they did the all blues against Georgia in the playoff.
They did.
Right? I mean, two of the biggest prime time. I think they go all blues. I mean, I just feel like that's a really, really good look at nighttime with the the contrast of the backdrop. I think that's what it'll be. But we'll see.
Yeah, it's hard. Well, I mean, what's not to like? What's not to? But look, hey, can I at least pull it up? Look at it. I don't know if you guys can see that. The Mays top, blue bottom.
Maze, yeah. I mean, they haven't done it. It would be cool because they haven't done it.
It would be a first time that they would do it. I would love to see it happen. But I mean, I think no matter what they look under the lights, they're going to look good.
This is a good question, and I think obviously the dark horse in there is really intriguing. Who leads the team in rushing on Saturday? Could it be JJ McCarthy, the young quarterback?
Nah, I think Corum is too elusive, too shifty. I mean, you could see it against Colorado State. There were a couple runs that Corum had where if the guy who didn't make the tackle didn't make it, he was gone. And so I just think there's too much lightning with Corum. I think it's going to be Corum that leads the way. But I wouldn't be surprised if JJ is upwards of 80 to 100 yards rushing on Saturday. I mean, he's got that capability.
I don't know if we have an answer for this, but I want to throw it up just because we're showing some love for those who show love to us. Darren May, one of the OGs, he's always here. Do we have a recommendation for him for a parking spot near the command center? I mean, like all up and down the street on Berkeley, they like all those houses park cars, but I don't know if they have kind of like a already arranged type of situation. A lot of those people have been parking cars for a long time, so they've got regulars. So they don't just open it up to like, oh, $40 and you can park here. It's the same people every week. So there's a bunch of houses on Berkeley where you can park, but I don't know if they're taking newcomers. So
but
I don't know.
You could easily but you could easily park at Pioneer and just walk. You can cross right over across the street. It's you know what I might put out a map later on just to give people show different directions on how you can get to where we're going to be parked at, because it is a pretty convenient location. It's a 4-minute walk from the stadium. So yeah, whether or not it's Pioneer or somewhere else, Darren, we'll try to do a little research and see where the best place is for you to park at.
And so we're on Berkeley. I mean, every single one of those side streets in both directions is parking cars, and they're all pretty close. I mean, you get there early enough, and it's a night game. I mean, you wouldn't have to get there even that early in the morning or anything. You could start making some rounds and seeing. So I don't have a real good answer for you, Darren. But everybody over there parks cars. It's just a matter of finding a spot that might be open still at this point.
Who the hell's talking shit about my Android? TJ Davis talking shit about an Android? When was that? I just saw the comment.
You were able to see it.
There will be no Android slander on the show. I won't have it in the comment section. Brandon, if you see it, delete it, kick him out. No more Android slander in the comment section.
I absolutely don't agree with that at all. I encourage and welcome all Android slander.
I won't have it, and I won't stand for it.
I was going to say, I'm surprised you were able to see the comment on your Android. I didn't think it supported that kind of technology. So it's awesome.
Support comments.
It's awesome that they've come that far and they can allow people to communicate with you. Another good one from Cody, man. Does JJ playing in this game more than a half? Because I mean, this is going to be by far the most he's played in a game. He played 11 snaps last week, dude. That's nothing. Does this give a chance? Give teams, future teams, Iowa, Michigan State, Penn State, the bigger games, a chance to game plan and scout him? Yeah, it does. And he's good. So who cares? I mean, that's, every team's got a couple of great players that you key on. And after a game or two, there's no secrets. So you
remember what it was like trying to scout against guys like Dwayne Haskins and Justin Fields, who still threw like 50 touchdowns. Yeah. I mean, I think that is the benefit when you are a dual threat, is even when people have the chance to scout against you, there's just a lot of variables when you're on the field, and it makes it far more likely that a defense is going to make a mistake that you can capitalize on.
I think I know how Chris is going to answer this one, because I just remember both of us, supremely impressed by the defense on Saturday. But it is an interesting question, because I don't know really what Hawaii is going to try to do. I know they like to try to run the ball. This isn't Hawaii from back in the day where they, Colt Brennan throwing it 80 times. I mean, it's a different offense now, but which number's higher, sacks or JJ touchdowns? That's a fun one. That's a fun one.
Ooh, Josh Pickens with a phenomenal question.
That's a fun one.
I'm going to go with sacks. I'm going to go with sacks, man.
Sacks.
I mean, what, 8? Was it 8 last weekend? I see that there was a different, or was it 8 guys that had a combined 7 sacks? I can't remember exactly.
7 sacks from 9 guys with the
We'll go with 7. Listen. I wouldn't be surprised if Michigan follows that up with another 7-sack outing. As much as I love J.J. McCarthy and as much as I think he's capable of doing great things, he's not going to throw 7 TD passes Saturday night. So I'll go with the defensive sacks. But it is a good question, man, because if it's, if they're getting to the quarterback 4 or 5 times, I don't know.
I mean, I want JJ to throw 4+ touchdowns. I just don't see it happening. So I think the sack number is easier to get to. But, I mean, dude, Hawaii's bad, dude. I mean, JJ could throw 5 touchdowns, and I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest. Like, in the slightest. So I'll go sacks. I think the sack number will be higher. But they could be pretty close. I do think they could be pretty close. I love this question. Thank you so much, Fletch. Lives daily. The RV is a 1999 Allegro BMF. If you don't know what BMF is, look it up. It's a bad one. It's the one that
Tiffin Allegro. 1999 Tiffin Allegro. Listen, it's got the Chevy 450 big block in it. I'm not sure if that's the case, but I think maybe
454, Chris. 450.
450. Listen,
those 4 cubic inches now.
The 454, and when I put my foot down on the gas, that girl, she purrs. Brandon hears it. Brandon's heard it. He knows.
Dude, well, the first time I saw it completed when Chris was rolling up the street with it in Ann Arbor and I heard the sound of it, I cracked up, dude. It's
what's crazy is like, look,
so perfect for Chris and I, dude. It's amazing.
When I drive my car, I'm at noon, right? I'm at noon. But dude, when I drive this RV, it's like it's something about an RV. You're 10 and 2, both hands on the wheel, school bus driving it. It's just, dude, RV life is different. It's for a different breed of people. And I feel like I'm finally starting to convert to RV guy now. I might get some boat shoes. I might get the what are the shorts with the cargo shorts? The polo.
Nobody's got a hand job in cargo shorts since Nam, dude.
Well,
can you say that on here? I
don't know. I'm married. Who's trying to get hand jobs now? We're 40.
Dude,
we're in our 40s.
Dude, Mach 5 HJs, dude, those are those are where it's at, dude. Still. Yeah. I don't know what just happened.
It's a 1999 Tiffin Allegro.
I don't know what just happened right there. This is a good question. It's honestly, I'm making that a drop. That's what dude, we're an hour and 6 minutes in, by the way. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, weren't you worried that we might not make it the full?
I'm worried. I was just like, well, hopefully there's a lot of questions we can answer because we don't have nothing else planned. T-Mac McLean. It's Colorado. Who wins between Colorado State and Hawaii? It's Colorado State. It's probably by like a
Colorado State. Yeah,
they weren't as bad as I thought. I mean, I know Michigan beat them by 44. Like it wasn't close, but they showed some decent things in the running game. They showed some decent things with the pass rush. That quarterback's going to get better. That was his first game ever playing. It was. I mean, dude, talk about going into the Lions' den.
What an outing! Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's not the worst team in the country, and Hawaii is literally in that discussion. So, yeah, I think it would be Colorado State pretty easily. All right, I'm gonna have to jump all the way to the bottom, guys. I know I probably missed a bunch of stuff, but you guys are killing it. I cannot express
bringing it
how happy we are and how appreciative we are for the comments and the questions. I mean, dude, when me and Chris can hop on a show, and I know we had the Mike Hart discussion, we had some Cade and JJ stuff, but we literally could have started from Jump Street and taken questions and gone well over an hour, and that's because you guys are bringing it with the questions. So really, really do appreciate that. And but as we approach an hour and 10 minutes, we probably got to
listen. I'm going to tell Brady Gallagher right now. Listen, I don't intend to cook any meth in the RV, but if we don't get more sponsors, if we don't get more people watching our show, if we don't get more traction here, there's a good chance I'm going to end up living in that RV. And then obviously the next step once you move into an RV is to make meth in said RV. So we're only a couple bad decisions away. Brady Gallagher, help us out.
All right, Chris, do what you want with this. So Uncle Mike, that's the coolest uncle. Everybody's got the cool badass uncle. That's Uncle Mike for me. He's also almost 60. Just throw it out there. He's my guy. Brandon gets green text from Uncle Mike all the time. Do what you want with that, Chris.
That's because
cool but he's old.
You know what? But listen, Uncle Mike runs a business. Uncle Mike is a business guy. And people who are business people use Androids. That's just the way it is. And so you can, your special little connectors and all your little wires and cords and your Apple cult, whatever it is. I don't want that shit. Yeah. I don't want to be part of that life. I don't want to be part of turtleneck society. I'm good. That's right, Michigan man. Android gang.
You sound
till I die.
You sound,
walk into any gas station, I can get whatever I need from my phone right then and there for less than $20.
You're trying real hard. I'm just gonna say that. I love it, Rob. Mach 5 HJs, Mach 5 handies on a T-shirt. I'll wear it.
Well, Well, there'll be a couple guys wearing them in Ann Arbor. We know then.
There'll be two of us.
there'll be
All
a
right,
couple.
man. It
was fun show.
I'm starting to sweat. I'm starting to laugh a little too much. I'm saying things I shouldn't say.
Perspiring during the show?
I don't know if I'm glowing on the camera, but I feel it on my back.
Well,
SBS, dude, sweaty back syndrome. If you're out there, look, we need a hotline. If you're
do you also suffer from sweat? Wait, is that Arms of the Angel?
If you're 35 and older and you're north of 200 pounds and you start sweating just from peeling an orange, you're not alone.
Dude, I'll tell you what, there were a couple games that Brandon and I had to walk to the press box last year, and it wasn't a very big incline. It was a slight incline on our journey, but by the time we got up there, we were a couple of dead bodies.
Have you ever been on vacation with your family and decided to opt out of an 8 to 10 minute walk because of what your shirt might look like when you got there? You're not alone.
We're on an island with the football team. We did decide not to make a journey strictly based on incline.
Have you ever gone to a cookout when it's 78 degrees and you were forced to leave early because your white t-shirt looked like saran wrap? You're not alone. You're not alone.
That's because Brandon's out there sweating with you.
All right. It's time to go, man. It's time to go. It's Wednesday night. I'm feeling good. I think that was a phenomenal show. Yeah. Brady Hoke is feeling the end of that episode right there. I do like hot dogs. Man, what a show. Chris, I don't know what the number is going to be. We always check it when we get done, the number of comments that we have. Are we going to hit 1,000?
Solid.
We might hit 1,000
I don't know, man.
comments on this one.
A lot of interaction. Always appreciative of it, man. It makes these shows so much fun, and it's really all we can say, man. We'll be back at it on Friday, dude. Are you gonna sleep Friday night under the lights?
I'll probably catch a few Z's, but I am excited, dude. I'm really excited about Saturday. We're gonna be out there all day long. Obviously, JJ's first start. Everybody's super amped about it just to see what it looks like, and yeah, dude, Friday's gonna be a fun show. We'll get into the predictions and some of the.
Antonio Pritchett, the track list is coming. I'm working on it.
I gotta cool off, dude. I gotta get off of here. I'm gonna.
Maybe
go eat
pool,
something.
man.
I don't have a pool, dude. Is your pool still open?
Yeah, it's still open. Come on over.
All right. I don't think I'm going to make that hour drive, but if I was a little closer, I might take you up on that. Anyway, thank you so much, everybody, for bringing the questions.
Thank you.
Got
Appreciate it.
An hour and 13 minutes long show just by answering your questions. So we really, really appreciate that. We will be back on Friday. Predictions, over-unders, place your bets, all the good stuff that we always do on a Friday show. Be another jam-packed one before our big pregame show on Saturday. The game itself, under the lights, and then the post-game show to talk about JJ McCarthy's first start. Thanks so much, guys. We'll see you on Friday. Take care.